Welcome to That Shooting Show. My name's Steve Anderson. I am your humble host. Want to let you know, first of all, we are a proud service of Walther Firearms, and I am proud to tell you that all of the competition-appropriate Walther Firearms come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you get the gold-engraved PPK, it does not come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. For example, if you get the gold-plated engraved PPK and your life does not become shaken and or not stirred, you will not get your money back, right? You may get shaken, you may get stirred, but you will not get your money back on that one. However, all the other ones, PDP, all of the other beautiful competition-appropriate Walther Firearms do come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if there's something wrong with you, now there won't be anything wrong with the gun. But if the purchase of the perfect competition firearm reveals some kind of a character defect in you, Walther will be like, hey, man, sounds like a you problem, but here's your money back. At any rate, if you don't love it for any reason, Walther will give you your money back. And that is the industry's only 30-day money-back guarantee that I am aware of. I'm also aware that Targets USA manufactures the finest steel targetry on the planet. There is a special promo code for insiders only, so if you're itching to get some steel, on your next insider call, ask me about the super top secret Targets USA promo code for insiders only. And of course, CR Speed, as you know, manufactures the finest gun handling gadgetry on the planet. Race holsters work. One of my favorite moments in class is when somebody has an hitchy bindy race holster, and I look over to check the logo and it does not say CR Speed. It's kind of hard sometimes to see the logo because the shooter is usually so uncomfortable after having given themselves an atomic wedgie trying to get that thing out of the lock. But once the atomic wedgie is settled and the shooter is calmed, I look over at the logo, and it is not a CR Speed. Hunter's HD Gold, as you know, is the only eyewear that I wear. May have saved my life today. Hunter's HD Gold may have literally saved my life. As you know, I walk about 450 pounds of dog through a target-rich environment virtually every day, and we're coming up the range hill, and it's a little rainy today, and I don't know what deer do in the rain, but these particular deer were hanging out under a bush, and I heard something, and the dogs heard something, and I was able to see 3 or 4 deer, pardon me, right before they took off. And if I hadn't seen them first and been able to brace myself, I could have been dragged up the hill, which would be pleasantly different than how I usually get dragged, which is down the hill. But Hunter's HD Gold may have saved my life by enabling me to see the deer before I said, "Oh dear." And if I'd been with my buddy John, I could have said, "John, deer." Okay. And as you know, the AMG-lab.com Commanderson timer continues to turn heads and blow minds by putting the time into the tablet. As a training tool, I'm not sure if it's valuable or invaluable because I don't know which one is more valuable. I think valuable means having such great value that it can't be calculated, and valuable means it has so much value that we know how much value it has. I don't know. Either way, putting the time into the tablet is pretty dang sweet, because if you're working on something and you're using the tablet, or if you're trying to look at your scores compared to somebody else, every glorious event that your gun creates is in the tablet, so you can see every glorious event and know where to go find them that time. OutdoorDynamics.net, as you know, remanufactures the finest competition ammunition you can dispense from a Freedom Seed dispenser. You can load ammo or you can dispense ammo. It's totally up to you. John is perfectly willing to pull that handle. Well, I think his robots do it. John's robots are perfectly willing to pull the handle for you, so you don't have to worry about it. You can just get back to dispensing. And I did ask him at the Falling Steel World Series match in Marengo, Ohio. He reckons that the cost of his ammunition is about the same as commercial ammo. So particularly if you're a female and you're using off-the-shelf ammo, I'm not saying you can't handle it. It's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying if you'd like to treat yourself to 30% less recoil, who wouldn't? want to treat themselves 30% less recoil. OutdoorDynamics.net will do that for you, and he will send you an Anderson sample pack at a price that is too good to announce because it's too good to believe. We let a young lady, because we don't know her name, we'll call her Alicia, and she was shooting 115 or 124 Blazer aluminum. I think it was 115. That is pretty spicy stuff. That's the green stuff at the Japanese steakhouse that they want. And maybe not the green stuff. Wasabi? Kimosabi? I don't know. It's hot. And all these dudes were standing around dispensing bunny farts, most of them Outdoor Dynamics. And we arranged for her to shoot a mag full of bunny farts. And she literally turned around and said, "Oh." It was her exact word. I mean, literally, that's what she said, right? That's what she said. "Oh." She made the face. That's how happy she was to be dispensing with less recoil. So go check it out. If you're shooting factory ammo, you don't need to be doing that. Outdoor Dynamics is the way to go. And of course, Shooting Sports Innovations is a lot to type because there's a lot to see when you finally get done fat thumbing, typo making, backspacing. Once you get done typing all that out, you'll be treated to a vast array of shooting sports accessories, many of which you didn't even know that you needed. So go check that out as well. As always, you can check out andersonshooting.com, click on upcoming classes to see where we're at and what we're doing. And we would love to be where you're at doing what you're doing. All you need to do is send me an email and say, "Hey, I want to do a class. Hey, I got a range available. Hey, we got USPSA props, and we can make it happen." You can also see the scheduled upcoming mental management classes online. The ultimate shooting, let's try that again. The ultimate mental game for practical shooting powered by mental management. We got a couple of those scheduled right now, and if the times are not to your liking, you let me know what times are to your liking, and we will make it happen. I have not one, but 2 letters from France, and one of them is more interesting than the other one. I'll let you decide, but here's the first one. This note of appreciation is long overdue after many an hour of listening and listening again to episodes of That Shooting Show. IPSC has allowed me to participate in a sport where I can shoot the same stages on the same day as the best in the world. Grafel shot production at the Occitan Cup this past weekend in Southwest France. What a privilege. But the most enriching moments are executing a properly prepared procedure, calling my shots, knowing why I am seeing what I see from behind the gun, and striving for consistent visual patience. So that's letter number 1 from France. That's from Tilak Sina. Tilak Sina. And then the next one was even more interesting. It got my attention right away. It's probably why I'm reading it first. Well, it's what got my attention. Steve, cork sniffers? Question mark. I sniff corks. Well, not literally, because as a sommelier of some 15 years, yikes, I would always summon my inner Obi-Wan Kenobi and tell my younger colleagues, "The cork is a cork, the wine is a wine. Do not base your assessment on the..." I don't think Luna likes my French accent. Don't worry, Luna. If they're French, they'll surrender. It's okay. For being in... They'll never fire a shot. They won't even try to come in. They will surrender as soon as they encounter some resistance. Yeah, see, she's cool now. The cork is the cork, the wine is the wine. Do not base your assessment on the closure. Taste the wine. All we need to know is there. Anyway, back to the podcast. I think that came out a little bit more Italian than French. Spur of the moment, dog noise, surrender joke, couldn't be helped. Anytime I think of French, I have to go back to the second Matrix movie, to the Merovingian, and I actually had that thought while I was walking up the stairs. I don't know. But at any rate, thank you so much for the letter. Cork sniffer is a term that comes from the vintage guitar world. That's how I know that term. People will pick up a 56 Stratocaster, 57 Stratocaster, and they'll look to see how many cigarette burns are on it, and they'll smell it real good, and, cork sniffer. So I did not mean any insult to you in any way by using the term cork sniffer, and certainly did not mean any insult in any way with the unfortunate French-Italian accent and the other French joke. I keyed. So, all right. Thank you so much for the letter. All right. So, 37 competition shooting time wasters. How much time do we have here? Let's take a look. I gotta start doing this. Oh my goodness, we got 30 minutes to do 37 time wasters. Boy, we're gonna hit this hard. It's Friday, and Darren Wood's the only one listening. He's already on 1.5 speed. He's already on number 12, so we gotta catch up. Number 1, malfunctions. The first malfunction you have is not your fault. The second malfunction you have is your fault. If your gear doesn't work, fix it or throw it in the river. Do not tolerate malfunction in gear. Number your magazines. If one of them acts up, get rid of that thing until you can fix the problem. Do not take an unreliable firearm to a match. Do not take an unreliable firearm to practice. Have a backup, figure it out, fix it, or replace it. Number 2, standing reloads. And as a side note to standing reloads, ammunition management, those are kind of related. Every time I do a class with IDPA shooters, there's at least one shooter who can save 10 seconds on every stage with proper ammunition management. So, and here's the deal, right? You don't need to count shots. You only need to count makeups. It's as simple as that. You've got to avoid surprise stand-in reloads because it happens like this. Pew, 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 pew. Click. Oh my goodness, that's really odd. That was a click instead of a pew. I wonder, what should I do? Oh, I know. I shall replenish my supply of ammunition. Yes, that's what I shall do. I shall now hit the magazine release. Wiggle, 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 shake, 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 flick, 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 flick. Then I shall insert a new magazine. Click. Then I shall release the slide, one of 3 different ways, because I don't really know which one I'm going to do. And then I will resume my pew-pew. Get rid of the stand-in reloads. Number 3, brain farts. A brain fart is caused by not knowing what to do. Not knowing what to do is caused by insufficient repetition of your stage plan, which is caused by waiting too long to make a decision. Right? If you don't know whether you're going left or you're going right and you look at it both ways, okay, I finally picked one. Oh my goodness, I'm up to shoot. Brain fart. It's because you don't know what to do. Insufficient repetition of the stage plan will always cause brain farts. Massive time waster. Missed positions. Well, I was going real good and overran that position. All right, so every position is either a foot marker or a target marker. Missed positions are caused by not having a foot marker. And what I mean by that is, if there's a sweet spot in a stage where you can see everything you want to be shooting at, that's wonderful. That's a foot marker. That means you need to be in the exact right spot to shoot everything you want to shoot. A target marker means I'm coming around the corner, I'm going to start shooting as soon as I see a target. Foot marker is I need to be in the exact right spot before I can shoot. Missed positions are caused by not having a foot marker. One other thing about missed positions is I am not normally a huge fan of full speed walkthroughs. However, if there's a tricky position, it might be wise to do 1 or 2 approaches a little bit brisklier so that we know what might happen if we're carrying a little extra juice. Okay, missed positions, massive time waster. Prairie dogging, in South Africa known as meerkatting. Prairie dogging is when you come into the position nice and low and you stand up to shoot. That takes at least 0.3 of a second. Right? So whatever level you come in at, that's the level that you shoot at. This is one of the many things we look for in video analysis. We look for prairie dogging / meerkatting. Massive, massive waste of time. 1/3 of a second on the way in, standing all the way up, and then you got to compress your body back down. That's another 1/3 of a second. That's 0.6 of a second easily on every position. If you're getting beat by 2 to 4 seconds and you don't know why, prairie dogging is usually the first culprit. Number 6, extra shots on steel. Holy moly. So there's a couple of problems with extra shots on steel. Number 1 is the more intently you aim at a piece of steel, the more likely you are to jerk the trigger. The more forgiving you are of your sight picture, the more gentle you tend to be on the trigger pull. But the real problem with missing steel is the 0.8 to 1.5 that it takes you to see the dirt. That goes like this. Pew! Let's see if I hear a ding. Okay, I didn't hear a ding. Oh, I see some dirt. That's weird. Did I miss? Oh, okay, I missed. Yeah, I probably should shoot again, but I'm going to aim even harder. Perfect smash. Takes forever. Compare that with a called makeup on a missed steel, always under 0.4. I've had called makeups on steel as low as 0.18. So extra shots on steel are massive time wasters. My favorite social media comment is, the key to this stage is going 1 for 1 on the steel. That might be the key to every stage there, Sherlock. The big boys don't get excited when they hit steel. The big boys know they're going to hit steel, and the biggest of the big boys will call a miss immediately without pondering why the ding fairy has failed to deliver them a ding based on an insufficient sight picture. You guys know what a bad sight picture looks like. So extra shots on steel, major time waster. Related to that, number 7 is checking your work. Shooting along, you fire your shots. Okay, I've shot. Now I'm going to peer over my gun. I make sure, okay, Alpha. Oh, Charlie. Oh, should I make it? I don't know. Should I? I don't know. So most of the time in USPSA, an observed Charlie isn't worth a makeup. Called Charlie may or may not be based on the hit factor, but an observed Charlie is usually not worth making up. If you got to look over the gun to see that Charlie, you've wasted so much time. You might as well keep going. And of course, shot calling is the solution to checking your work. If you want to check your work, do it while the gun's going off. You don't have time to be looking at bullet holes. Checking your work is a major time waster. Also related to shot calling, and number 8, false exits. You could also call this the box dance. So a false exit is, I really want to get out of this position. So I'm just going to lob a hoper, kind of see what happens. Oh, I'm already left. Oh, I missed the steal. Oh, what should I do? Bounce, back and forth. Shoot again. Oh, I'm leaving, but I've missed it again. Now what do I do? The solution to that is to learn to call your shots. Plan to initiate your exit as you call the shot, not as you press the trigger. Calling your shots is waiting roughly 30 milliseconds after you've touched the trigger for the bullet to leave the barrel. You see the sight lift off the target, that is going to be a hit. JJ Racaza may want to stick around for another look just to make sure. The rest of you, if you see your sight lift, that is going to be a hit. And I would rather you leave one standing once in a while than I would have you watch them all fall down. And for sure, if you're planning your exit, you need to call that shot before you get your exit going. Kudos to you for planning your exit. But the exit is initiated when you call the shot as opposed to when you press the trigger. Okay? Number 9, posting up and standing still. I don't know specifically when you should shoot while moving, but I do know that if you can make the shot while moving, you're generally better off. Well, I run really fast and I shoot really fast. I like to post up and run. Okay, cool. That's wonderful. That was probably a good idea some amount of time. But virtually every time we've tested it, every time somebody says, well, how about if I just post up? I would say 95% of the time, as we've set up different examples of this to test it, staying moving has been quicker than posting up, as long as they can make the shot. The people that advocate for posting up as opposed to shooting while moving typically start with the premise that they can't make the shot. Well, no Shinola, Sherlock. If you can't make the shot, there's no point in having the debate. But if you can make the shot, you're generally better off while moving. It makes sense most of the time. Massive time waster. Transitions. Probably the biggest, most ignored time waster in the entire sport. You guys that are out there chasing splits, congratulations. You just saved 0.03 of a second with a lot of risk. You guys that are working on transitions, you saved 0.3 of a second with virtually zero risk. So transitions is the easiest way to cut massive amounts of time off your stage. Transitions, there's a technique for it we do in the classes. The easiest way to get better on transitions, if you're already doing the 12 drills from refinement repetition, in French or in France, it's known as refinement and repetition. I think it was more French than Italian that time. Take your 3 targets from refinement repetition, spread them out. Maintain or reduce the par times with the targets further apart. Easiest way to speed up your transitions. Also strive to get your eyes out in front of the gun. Okay? Number 11, slowing down to get your hits. Well, I went out and I shot really fast, and I was pretty sloppy. So now my new strategy, what I'm going to do, I'm going to slow down and get my hits. One of the worst pieces of advice on the range. Getting your hits has nothing to do with slowing down. If you got a visual patience problem or some other accuracy problem, slowing down is only going to compound that problem by making it worse. Now you're sloppy and you're slow. Congratulations. Slowing down to get your hits. How about just get your hits? How about see what you need to see? How about see whatever you need to see to leave an acceptable shot on every target without constantly controlling your speed? But I get ahead of myself a little bit. Related to that is the 25-yard draw. Number 12. Anytime the first shot of a stage is difficult or the whole string's difficult, guys in the slow down to get your hits category will literally start aiming in the holster with a 25-yard draw. Okay? YouTubers will get the benefit of the visual accompaniment. Back up. There's going to be a little bit of chair noise here, so sorry, Arik. I'll make it as quiet as I can. All right, here's your visual demonstration of the 25-yard draw. Okay? I'm in my start position. Oh, that's a tough target. Woo! All right, here we go. Are you ready? I don't know. Stand by if you say so. Beep! And then I begin my draw down here, and I'm very slowly aiming. Oh, the dogs did not like that. Okay, hang on. A little bit of dog noise, a little bit of paper noise. But there it is. YouTube got the visual demonstration of the 25-yard draw and gets to see Rogue checking on me to make sure I've survived the attack of the French. Yes, buddy, I'm fine. I'm fine. That's a good boy. You YouTubers are in such luck you get to see most of Rogue's giant head. That's a good boy. Yeah, that's such a good boy. All right, 25-yard draw, massive time waster. Finding the dot. Okay, if you're new to the dot, you need to be dry firing in every conceivable position so that not being able to find the dot is inconceivable. If you're wasting time finding the dot, that is 100% dry fire. And if you're new to the dot, you must dry fire in every conceivable position you can think of so you can find the dot. You might even get the Kama Sutra out, right? You might... You might even find a book of positions, right? If such a book existed of every conceivable position, you might get that book and practice finding your dot in every conceivable position that's in that book. As Mrs. Annan would say, moving on. There's no excuse for not being able to find the dot. If you're going to shoot a dot, you need to be able to find that sucker under any conditions. And that same book might have some advice on finding something. It doesn't matter. Moving on. So, finding the dot, massive waste of time. I'm not going to say it's unforgivable, but gosh, it sure is silly. Especially strong hand, weak hand. You know, if it's taking you 3 seconds to find the dot, strong hand, weak hand, that's a long time, gang. And that is the easiest problem in the world to solve. While you're doing that, you want to monitor for head movement. When you're drawing to, well, all draws really, but you know, strong hand, weak hand, maybe more importantly, make sure you're not moving your head, because if you're moving the gun, moving the head, it's going to be harder to find. Okay. Strong hand only, weak hand only draws is the next one. A strong hand only draw should be just as fast as freestyle. The only difference is you'll have the strong foot out in front by the end of it. You can start normal draw, drag your, let's say you're right-handed, start normal stance, drag your left foot back on the draw if you want to, or you can start with your left foot back, totally up to you. My recommendation is to have the right foot in front if you're right-handed when you're shooting strong hand only. You get more of the body behind recoil. Some people report that the dot's a little easier to find than their normal stance. Muscle memory, it's not really muscle memory because muscles don't have memory. It's more like myelin, M-Y-E-L-I-N. And weak hand only, there are slow ways and dumb ways to transfer the gun to the weak hand. And then there are smart ways and fast ways. Most of you know my recommendation. Literally all you got to do, and I'll show you, YouTubers can benefit from it. Normal draw, normal grip. As soon as the gun clears the holster, pull the meat of pull the hand away. Makes a perfect spot to transfer, right? So normal draw, normal grip. As soon as the gun clears the holster, pull this stuff out of the way. Makes it very easy to transfer. Okay? YouTubers get the behind the scenes visual awesomeness. Okay, where are we at? Body height adjustments. Moving the body up and down during the course of the stage is a massive time waster. It's kind of related to prairie dogging, but anytime you're adjusting your height and you're not shooting, you're wasting time. So let's try to avoid. The easy way to practice that is to pretend you're in a room with a low ceiling. Just imagine, hey, I'm in a room with a low ceiling. I can't stand up all the way. That's the easiest way to practice keeping the body height the same. Number 16, gun low on entry. It does not matter how quickly you get to a new position. It matters how quickly your gun gets to the new position. Get the gun to the target. There should be a straight line between where your gun was and where your gun needs to be to fire the next shot. The vast majority of the time. Okay, but if you're getting into position with your body high and your gun low, and then body low, body high, gun low. It doesn't matter. Get in the position with the gun high and ready to shoot. Okay, think of it as getting your gun to where it can see the next target. Okay, number 17, too deep into walls and ports. Yes, we need to get up close to most ports, but you may not need to get your gun all the way in there, and you may not need to get your gun jammed in past the wall completely. Sometimes you might, but getting the gun too deep into walls and ports means you got to pull that thing out again before you can do anything else. Okay? Alphas on partials, number 18. The vast majority of the time, shooting alphas on partials takes forever and is very, very risky. Shooting at the center of the available target area on partials is much, much faster. As we tested on the YouTube, it yielded an average higher hit factor 3 times in a row. You can go look at that test on the YouTube. That is one of the biggest mistakes I made in my competition shooting career, was sniping alphas on partials. But I shoot minor. I don't care. I did the test in minor. And if you shoot major, don't even bother me with the debate because I don't have time for it. Shooting alphas on partials, the vast majority of the time, takes too long and it's too risky. There may be situations where it's warranted, and IDPA is a little different because you have so much time, right? But USPSA, alphas on partials, is a massive time waster most of the time. Negative self-talk, massive time waster. That's number 19. Every negative thought you speak, every time you talk down to yourself about yourself, you're damaging your confidence. Confidence is at least 30% of performance, and the better you are, the higher that number is. So if you're talking bad about yourself, I read something this morning that I thought was interesting. I was doing a little bit of research, and somebody posited the question: if you had a friend that talked to you the way you talk to yourself, how long would you be friends with that person? Okay? Not very long. You could consider breaking up with yourself if you're, I don't know if you could break up with yourself. You could certainly have a talk with yourself about it. Negative self-talk is a massive time waster. Well, you're telling me just to pat myself on the butt, give myself a participation trophy, and tell myself everything's okay. Well, I'm telling you that the things you say to yourself tend to be true. Pardon me 1 second. Boy, YouTubers are so lucky. They get to see me do a 25-yard draw, a weak hand transfer with a tape gun, and blow my nose. Gosh, you guys are lucky. But every time you say something bad about yourself, that goes into your self-image. So if you say, I suck on steel, that gets deposited, and that becomes your go-to statement anytime you think about shooting steel. All you got to do instead is say, hey, I'm working on shooting steel, and I'm getting better. That way, when you see steel, that phrase will trigger. I'm working on steel and I'm getting better. That's much, much better. Number 20, complaining is a massive waste of time. Complaining about the stages, complaining about the rules, complaining about the new division, complaining about the weather. It's all a massive waste of time. If you're going to go to the match in the weather that day presents, prepare for it and shut your trap. What good does it do you to go to a match in the rain and complain about the rain all day? Why did you even go? You might as well stay home. Oh, it's so cold out there. Okay, so stay home. But if you're going to go, over-prepare for it and ignore it. All that complaining does is put you in a bad attitude, okay? What I would recommend you do is prepare for it and treat it like it's your day. Man, I'm prepared for this. I'm prepared for the rain. I'm prepared for the cold. This is my day to shine. Complaining about it, massive waste of time. Another big waste of time, number 21, is thinking top shooters are magical. Guys, top shooters are human beings. Anything they can do, you can also do if you're an able-bodied human being. And even if you're not, you can get pretty close. But thinking that the top shooters are somehow magical and are intrinsically better than you are is a massive waste of time. If they can do it, you can do it. Number 22, shooting in your preferred target order as opposed to when they are seen. This is true mostly for newbies. Right? A newbie will prefer to shoot left to right most of the time. Well, most of your field courses go from left to right, which means the right target presents itself first, which means you can see it first. That means most of the time you'll be shooting right to left instead of left to right. Okay? So shoot the targets as you see them as opposed to your preferred engagement order. We see the same thing if there's steel and paper. The steel presents itself, but they don't want to shoot that first. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. But they'll skip the steel they can see first, shoot the paper for some reason. Shooting them as you see them is almost always better the vast majority of the time. Number 23, Matt. Let's see how we're doing on time here. Oh, we're doing good. We got 8 minutes left to do 10 items. That's a pretty good hit factor. 10 items, 8 minutes. Items divided by minutes. 1.2 hit factor. Oh, we'll crank that out, no problem. If we slow down and get our hits. Trying to get faster and more accurate at the same time is impossible. This is why they used to say it takes 10 years and 1,000,000 rounds to make master, because they're trying to get more accurate and faster at the same time. It's not possible, not in the short term. Getting faster is very, very easy in the short term. Getting more accurate is very, very easy in the short term. Doing both of them at the same time is very, very difficult. What do I do then? What you do is you use dry fire to get stupid fast, learn how to call your shots, learn match mode. That's how to do it quickly. Number 24, misunderstanding practice. Practice is not about 10 perfect reps. Practice is about hundreds or thousands of acceptable reps. And if you are denigrating yourself or damaging your opinion of yourself during practice, that's a guaranteed way to practice more and shoot worse. Practice is 100% about enough reps to make the execution of the desired skill available without conscious thought, and imprinting positive imprints to the self-image at the same time. Okay, you could do something different if you want to, but that is how to get better quick. Number 25, insisting on a perfect stance. This is kind of related to prairie dogging, but you do not need a perfect stance for the vast majority of the shots in these practical shooting sports. You just don't. So learn to shoot without a perfect stance. Getting a perfect stance is a massive time waster. Number 26, overconfirmation. We hear this a lot from people who dry fire a lot more than they live fire. They talk about overconfirmation. Let's just call that seeing more than you need to see. The solution for that is shot calling drills. Learning to see. In the beginning, it's learning what you need to see to fire an accurate shot. Later on, it becomes learning what you can get away with. Right? Turning that dot into a paintbrush is the easiest way to prevent overconfirmation. Number 27, active analysis and commentary while you're shooting. If Samuel L. Jackson wakes up from his profanity-laced slumber and begins to analyze and comment on your run, this is a massive waste of time. Sometimes people do it loud. Oh, crap, why did I do that? Load the gun, dummy. This is the conscious mind waking up, which is denying access to subconscious skill, which will cause many, 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 many problems. Okay? Related to that, number 28 is emotional correction. If you have a problem during a stage, fix it. Fix it and continue. And that starts in training, by the way. If you stop what you're doing every time you have a problem in training, you're training yourself to do that in competition. Yeah, there's probably a time and a place for a mulligan in training, a time and a place for figuring out a malfunction. I get it. But the vast majority of the time in training, you should be practicing emotionless correction. Correct and continue. All the emotion does is cost you time. And by the way, next time you have a fight with your wife, tell her that. Honey, all this emotion is just wasting time. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Now, women should probably do that. Honey, all this emotion's wasting time. Let's be super logical. Boy, that'll work great. All right, number 29, dry fire gadgets. The vast majority of dry fire gadgets are not necessary and can be time wasters. I've been approached by virtually every dry fire gadget manufacturer on the market, and I have yet to endorse any of them because I don't believe they're necessary. If it inspires you to practice more or at all, that would be the best reason to use one. But they're not necessary, and I personally think they waste time. Looking for hits with a laser, recharging your cool fire. It's time you could be spent dry firing. And looking for some other confirmation of your hit is also a waste of time because it's keeping you further away from shot calling. Shot calling is so easy to do in dry fire. It's a great place to practice it. And these gadgets, I don't think they're necessary. If they inspire you to practice, that's great. If they solve a specific problem, that's great. But I don't believe they're strictly necessary. Similar note, number 30, dropping mags in dry fire is a massive waste of time unless you have trouble getting the mags out of the gun. Then you have no choice. But if you don't have trouble getting mags out of the gun, dropping magazines in dry fire is a massive waste of time. You will literally spend more time picking up mags than you will doing the drill. But if you have trouble getting the mags out of the gun, or if the new mag hits the old mag, whatever, you're going to have to drop some mags in dry fire. But once you've got those problems solved, dropping mags in dry fire is a massive waste of time. Number 31, constantly changing your gear. New gun, new dot, new springs, new ammo. Massive waste of time. Pick something that works and get to work. Number 32, unstructured random practice. Every time you practice, you need to have a purpose. You need to have some structure. Unstructured random practice, particularly if it results in negative imprints, massive waste of time. You'd be better off not practicing. Right? All you have to do, make a list of the things your sport requires and evaluate your ability to do them. You'll have two columns, things I do great, things I can do better. The things you can do better are the things you need to be practicing. It's just as simple as that. Number 33, thinking and talking about mistakes, especially during the match, is a massive waste of time. If you want to meet me at a shooting match, all right, if you think I might be there under the radar, all you have to do when you get done, shoot a really good run, and then as loud as you can, tell your squad mates the 6 things you did wrong. I will literally come out of nowhere and say, hey, man, are you talking about things you want or things you don't want? We ain't talking about flubs. Ooh, ain't talking about flubs. That might be the next parody that we do, because that's an easy song to play. Yeah, ain't talking about flubs. That's what we're going to do. Okay, think and talk about mistakes. Instead, I want you to think and talk about solutions. Anything you talk about is going to get bigger in your mind. So talking about and thinking about the solution and the correction, far better than thinking and talking about the mistake. You could also try that when you fight with your spouse. Say, I think we know what the problem is. Why don't we talk about some potential solutions? Works pretty good, actually. Number 34, tiny targets in dry fire are a massive waste of time. I'm okay down to about a third scale if we're pretty close. But these 1/6ers, I do not like them. They're useful in match mode dry fire in limited amounts, small doses, let's say. But if you're doing 100% of your dry fire on these little tiny targets, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a waste of time, but you're never going to get any faster on those little tiny targets. I don't care how close you get to them. You're never going to get any faster. They do not look the same. I know the mathematical equation. I totally get it. If you're trying to get faster, get some big targets. If you want to use the small ones for match mode dry fire, I'll support that on a limited basis. But let's be using stuff that looks like it's supposed to look. If you got those little 1/6ers, those little playing cards, you could very easily be practicing your draw on 25 yards. And if it's a partial, can you even see what you're doing? So I do not like these little tiny targets. Number 35, under trying and over trying, massive waste of time. How do we prevent under trying and over trying? It's very simple. When you have the confidence that your normal performance will be acceptable for the result you desire, and that's its whole topic all by itself, we talk about that almost every day. Anytime you don't believe your normal performance will be acceptable for the result you desire, you're going to undertry or overtry. How do you prevent it? You manufacture confidence in real time with positive imprints to your self-image. It's as simple as that. If I see struggle or failure in my past, and I see struggle or failure in my present, what am I expecting in the future? But if I see success in my past, and if I see success in my present, what am I expecting in the future? So those of you that are looking in the past and looking at all your failures, all your perceived failures, looking at where you're at now, looking at all your failures and all your perceived failures, guess what you're expecting in the future? Failures and perceived failures. But if you can go back and find some success in the past, find and acknowledge some success in the future, then you will begin to expect success. Sorry. Let's try that again. If you look in the past and you find some success, and then you look in the present and you find some success, what are you going to see in the future? Success. By the way, I stumbled across a brilliant discovery. If you've ever heard the term beginner's luck, I've figured out beginner's luck. Beginner's luck is a process-based performance. When a beginner learns how to do something, they execute the steps in the right order, and they get it right. Somebody goes, wow, that's beginner's luck. That's actually a process-based performance. You could do the exact same thing. Number 36, conscious control of speed is a massive waste of time. If you're deciding how fast or how slow to shoot before you get into the stage, it is a massive waste of time and energy. You need to be shooting at the speed of sight, not however fast you think you need to be shooting. It's a massive waste of time, short term and long term. Shoot always at the speed of sight. Okay? Number 37, our final time waster. And that is spending years of struggle screwing around. You don't have to. If you're new to the sport, let's get you up and running quickly. Let's get you on the correct path, El Quico. If you're coming into the sport a little bit later in your 50s or 60s, you don't have 10 years and 1,000,000 rounds to make master. Let me help you save you. Let me help you save. Let me help you save years of struggle. That's our specialty here at AndersonShooting.com. That's what I pride myself on the most. So let me help you save years of struggle. Mental management, live fire pistol class, one-on-one here in Newark, Ohio. Let me save you years of struggle. Because screwing around doing dumb stuff is the ultimate waste of time. Now do something smart. Be like me, do what I do, say it with me. 1, 2, 3, get to work.